following announcement has been paid for by the
Mark Order.
Welcome to the Elite Mark Order podcast number 16, where we review AEW Dynamite number 182 from St. Louis that was broadcast on March 29th, 2023. I'm Cosmic Scott. With me tonight is JayV. How are you tonight, Jay?
I'm doing wonderfully. I am looking forward to reviewing the show. It wasn't we didn't get like any great wrestling clinics. We had a few decent matches, but it moves stories along in a good way and is really bringing back some of the excitement I had probably about a year ago about AEW. And I think the company's moving forward in a real positive direction right now.
I enjoyed it, even though everybody that we know in the Discord guessed correctly the outcome of every match.
Well, I got one wrong.
Well, that's because you went against the grain because you thought you were going to get a head up on everyone.
No, I mean, we can talk about it. I thought
it
was time for the outsiders to take an L, but apparently it's not. And we'll get there, like you said.
I absolutely agree that match could have gone either way. And it went the way I guessed. So we'll talk about that. That wasn't a big deal. Matter of fact, there's really nothing huge that happened in this episode, and that's fine. It moved story for everybody who's complaining. Where's the story? Where's the story? There were a lot of story segments.
Well, there was one thing that happened that was super huge, with the return.
Yeah,
at the end of the show, that was humongous. That was very huge, in my opinion.
I agree, and that is definitely something to talk about. So it started off not with Orange Cassidy this week, which I thought was a mistake, because if you look at the ratings that we had posted in the Discord that I believe Robert was nice enough to post for us, it really dipped, and then it rose again when it was Orange Cassidy and when it was Kenny Omega. So I think they need to keep Orange Cassidy in that opening bout because that's holding the attention of the crowd. I also think a predictable show, people just weren't that into it, even though it was really good. Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Matt Hardy was the opening bout. And it was interesting because, again, where's the story? Where's the story? Well, here it comes. Jungle Hook. Because Ethan Page was involved with the Firm, which was involved with Hook. You wrestle Matt Hardy, and then they bring him out. They have that interaction. Hook is going to wrestle Ego later on, somewhere down the line. So good on them. There's the storyline. And then it was an okay match from Jungle Boy, but the important part was after the match. How did you think the match itself went?
I thought Hardy dished out a lot of punishment. I'm glad that he got some time to shine and to hit Jack Perry with some big moves. Because I thought Matt looked pretty good in this match. The cage match viewers, cage match readers disagree, as they gave the match a 5-4. But I thought it was a decent match, and I thought Hardy had some good offense, and he beat up Jungle Boy pretty good. So
here's the thing: a lot of people say that Matt Hardy, he's getting old, he can't move. I hate to break it to you, but watch his early matches in his 20s. He's wrestled like this a long time because there's something up with his hips. I don't know what it is. I've looked it up before. He's got an actual limitation that has prevented him from moving the way you think he should. And people think that it's only because he's gotten old. It's been there forever. And so I think he's cruising right along, doing just as well as always, able to move in the ring just as well as he always has, maybe a touch slower. But he's putting over the younger talent. He's working with the Firm. He's doing everything he's asked. And he's doing a great job. He is a legend. Yes, his brother's more popular. Yes, as a tag team, they're phenomenal and yada, yada, yada. But his brother has too much baggage. I'm sorry, don't bring him back. You don't need him. Matt Hardy loves him. TK loves him. He's coming back again eventually, but I don't think he should. That said,
yeah, I'm not 100% he'll be back. I mean, he can't handle it. His run was really strange. With just the amount of risks he was taking, it was You just knew that whole thing was going to come crashing to a halt. He was either going to get hurt or something else bad was going to happen. And fortunately, he did get hit with that DWI, and fortunately he didn't hurt anyone else in that process and didn't end up like Sonny. So, but just getting back to Matt, I think it's interesting how he keeps reinventing himself. He kind of keeps saving his career when he's on the way out. And he did this angle that he's got going with Ethan Page and Private Party. I thought it was awful at first. Like, I was just upset. I didn't want to see it. I thought it was go away heat for me, but it's kind of grown on me. And I think their last match on Dark, where it was Dark or Elevation, where Page and Hardy and which Private Party guy is it?
Isaiah is the one that's healthy. Mark Quinn is the one that's out.
Yeah, so Cassidy, Page, and
Hardy.
Hardy had a 6-man, and Page was all upset, and he was in a bad mood. And then Hardy cheered him up, and they cheered Page on doing the twist of fate. And Page, started having a great time in the ring. And now instead of hating Matt Hardy, Ethan Page is coming out and he's dancing like Jeff did, and it's kind of cool to see him in that role. And it seems like Matt Hardy's relevant again.
Their act has evolved because Isaiah wasn't into it. Now he is, and so they've all sort of evolved where they're still faces, and Page is still a heel, which is why they had the miscommunication, which cost Hardy his match because Page clobbered it, and that was the turning point, and that obviously Jungle Boy was going to win, but it's not going to help when Page clotheslines Hardy and then straight into the loss. But the fact is they are gelling together, except for that face heel thing that they still have. So it's interesting. It's storyline that I like, and then you bring in the hook stuff. You bring in the fact that I still like Big Bill. There's still some fragments of the firm that maybe could be saved. Doesn't look like it's a terrible waste anymore. Certainly better than the Ass Boys. Maybe that was the problem with the firm, was the Ass Boys.
Maybe.
But after everybody, Hook comes down, clears out Ethan Page, Matt loses, MJF comes out, and they have a great segment between MJF and Jungle Boy. MJF brings up last week, and they go back and forth. And I really thought that, once again, MJF had the people eating out of the palm of his hands because he's phenomenal. I think Jungle Boy did okay. He's not improving because he's got limited exposure at this point, but they're giving him more airtime so that he can improve. I think this is doing well for him. MJF is elevating Jungle Boy through these promos, through these interactions. So I think by the time the 4-way, which we're all anticipating, comes around, he'll actually be believable as a contender. So I think this is doing really good so far for Jungle Boy. I'm excited to see what's going to happen for the rest of the 4 pillars, because it looks like, obviously, that's what they're going to do, is he's going to feud with all 4 of them individually week by week, culminating at the end when he feuds with all 4. And
yeah, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to it. I wish I could be there live, but I can't. One other thing I'd like to point out about that match was I think this is a huge opportunity for Jungle Boy. I mean, it's opportunities he hasn't really had in the past to square off against the top guy in the company, in the ring, on the mic. And I thought, he started okay with his promo, and then he started sinking, and he started getting like into like a repetitive mode. And once you start doing that, the crowd catches on, and the crowd starts getting a little bored, and the crowd starts chanting "what?"
I heard that.
And there was 4 or 5 or maybe 6 "what" chants, because, like I said, he was getting very repetitive and formulaic, and using the same frequency. I don't know what the right word is for that, but he recovered from it, and he moved the crowd away from the "what" chants by picking things up and changing his tone. So I thought he did a good job moving away from because you don't want the last thing you say the crowd to respond with "what." You need the crowd to pop.
I believe he did
recover from that.
No, absolutely. He recognized that they were getting into the "what" rhythm, and then he fired up. And he changed his cadence, he gave the energy, and they responded.
Yeah.
I think that was exactly what he needed to do. And I almost think, because MJF was involved, I almost think that was on purpose. I almost think MJF gave him guidance on getting that reaction so he could turn him and show that connection, because that was superb. And I think if he did it on purpose, masterful. If he did it on accident, great. He did it. Do it again. Do it more. That's what we're looking for. Because clearly the people responded to that energy and that passion.
So I'll go on the record just to be the center to say I don't think that they goaded or drew a what chant. I think it just happened because he was using the same rhythm in his phrases. But it's an interesting theory.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Well, so after the MJF segment, which again was phenomenal, we come over to Goofy Wrestling, because thank you, Simon Miller, Goofy Wrestling for life. The fact is, the Acclaimed and the sports entertainers of the JAS, the Jackass Society, were perfect. I think them, the night on the town with the Acclaimed, was a great short segment. Throughout the night, they sparsed it out. They, again, told a great story where they were trying to lure them in. Come on, join us. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. You know it's leading to a match. And now I think I'm actually interested in seeing Matt Menard and Angelo Parker get their asses kicked by the Acclaimed. Because, you know, they're never going to win. Not even with Jericho.
That's the problem. The way Menard and what's his face?
Angelo Parker.
The way Menard and Parker have been booked, I mean, there is no chance.
They're jokes.
And it's uninteresting to me. The only thing that interests me about this angle is that the Acclaimed, once you know they're messing with 2.0, is that they could start messing with Sammy and Garcia, and Jericho could get involved, and that would be interesting. I still think that it's a huge drop off for the Acclaimed. I think they're losing a ton of momentum by being paired with these guys. The segment wasn't bad. I was entertained by the segment, but it's not like, oh, I can't wait to tune in next week to see what happens with 2.0 and the Acclaimed, and oh, I can't wait to see them wrestle. Like, that's just not there for me right now. So I kind of feel bad for the Acclaimed because I think they're losing a lot of momentum, kind of like Wardlow did. I just don't know what's next for them.
Well, so. we know that Jericho, what's next for him, and that's at the end of the show.
Right.
So we'll cover that. But I think that if the Acclaimed do fight, obviously they're going to beat 2.0. There's just no question about it. And I think then they'll just move on. What would be really interesting is if they join temporarily and then turn on them. I think that might give something. Because right now, everything with the JAS is boring as shit. Jericho being involved means it's going to be drawn out until the next pay-per-view. And so that's the curse of the JAS. There are elements that are really fucking good, but overall the booking of the JAS really has been pissing me off. So I don't know if that's necessarily the way that I want things to go. So we'll see where that goes. But
hey guys,
Krill, how are you this evening?
What's going on?
I'm good. How are you guys? Sorry it took me so long to get into the podcast, but where are we at right now?
We are talking about the Jericho Appreciation Society vignette with the Acclaimed.
Yeah, the weird storyline they're starting to shove the Acclaim into. So I'm guessing, I guess they're going to be tossing them and Adam Cole together against the JAS now?
We're not sure. And to be quite honest, I think we're about to move on because it's just not that interesting to any of us, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The Acclaimed, you know, Jay thinks that they're losing steam and momentum. I can't disagree with that. And for me, yes, there's a little bit of appeal, but otherwise, where's it going? Because the stuff with the JAS has never really gotten anyone over. Not really. I mean, Action Andretti got over for a week. So,
Yeah.
So at that point, since we don't know where it's going, we can move on to what was probably the fastest squash match on a Dynamite since Jade Cargill started her win streak. The Blackpool Combat Club absolutely destroyed Dalton Castle and the boys. This wasn't a match. They barely got it started.
Yeah, I walked upstairs. I missed that whole thing. I came back. My dad's like, "Oh yeah, hey, they squashed them." I'm like, "What?" They squashed these guys.
The entire time they were on the outside, Yuta was beating up one of the boys, and Moxley was beating up Dalton. Inside the ring, which is where they got the bell to ring because it was technically a tag match, Claudio just destroyed the other boy. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even a match. And then he just pinned him.
Goodness.
They are dominant. Don't get me wrong. This entire show built up the BCC quite strongly. They have one of the strongest heel reactions of the night later on. So I think maybe this did some good for the BCC. I think Dalton Castle and the boys, it did not do anything for, but they're ROH talent, so it's kind of what you expect.
And a lot of people just don't want to see them continuously on TV every week, even though, again, they're very good. I mean, I like Dalton Castle. His gimmick is very unique. It's like, okay, this is weird, but it's unique. It's interesting.
He's a 2023 Adrian Adonis. That's all. He's a gorgeous George. He's one of those sort of gender bender, twister, gonna make you feel uncomfortable just because you don't know exactly where I stand guy. Okay. It's classic wrestling.
Oh, I gotta disagree that Dalton Castle. I mean, you could draw some similarities between Adonis, but Adonis was the top heel in WWE for a while. He had nuclear heat. Dalton Castle, I don't think he's ever had heat. So,
I
was comparing the characters, not the success of the wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. Compare the characters, not the success, because Dalton Castle, he carried ROH on his back with a broken back. So you
broken
can't give him
freaking
credit on
neck.
that.
Oh no, wait.
That's someone else entirely. That's a certain guy that everyone likes to call Perk Angle.
There you go. Well, there's good reason for that. But so again, it didn't do anything for the boys. It wasn't supposed to. They were literally enhancement talent. This was a short damn match. It was a beat down. And it proved one thing, that the Blackpool Combat Club are badass. And Yuta was in there in the middle, still their bitch boy.
I felt like this was an excuse to get them on the show in a match, which is fine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I thought there are Dalton Castle fans out there. People like him a lot. And I just feel like this kind of made a joke out of him and hurt him for the AEW audience. Like, I mean, the responses on Twitter, or why are Dalton Castle and these clowns even on Dynamite? And I just don't think it was good for them. It's never good for an established star to get squashed. So I think they could have put someone else. They should have just had 3 jobbers out there instead of putting Dalton Castle through this, even though I personally don't really like the guy. So that's my take.
The guy has an interesting gimmick. It's like one of the weirdest things I have honestly ever seen on a TV show, on a pro wrestling show. I'm not used to seeing some guy walking out like that.
I watched Goldust. I watched Goldust.
You got a point there. I mean, Goldust was rubbing people around all over the place.
He wanted breast implants.
I know. That and right there, ladies and gentlemen, that right there just shows how much Dustin Rhodes is willing to commit to a fucking gimmick.
Yeah, he's dedicated.
Honestly, why have they not put why has no company put a world title on this guy's waist?
Dustin?
He's a fucking fantastic talent. Yeah, he's a fantastic talent.
Well, because he's in his 50s now, but that's not the point.
But they should just put it on him back then.
Well, but they did.
I would love to see Dustin win the title from MJF and retire. Like, could you imagine the pop?
That would be fantastic.
He wins it, and then the next night later, the next Dynamite later, he comes out and goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to say this, but I have to retire. This has been fantastic. I'm so grateful to spend my last few years in AEW. That'd be great."
Or wait, he could lose the title to Sting, and then they could both retire.
There you go, double retirement. Perfect.
Yeah, and then and then one of them loses to Jeff Jarrett, and it's a triple retirement.
Oh God. Okay,
No. You've gone way too far.
We're going to WWE territory.
You were never, you were never, ever going to see JJ retire. JJ for life is real.
Yeah, JJ.
It is not a phrase. It is not a phrase. I live by that.
Like I said, Jeff Jarrett's going to be in the grave, coming out in the ring with his guitar in hand.
He's going to be a reanimated skeleton. I will guarantee it. I will turn necromancer to bring him back from the grave. He's my age. He's my soul beast.
What level would you have to be?
Spirit animal isn't PC anymore. Now it's soul beast.
What level of necromancer would you have to be to revive Jeff Jarrett after he dies?
Well, I mean, realistically, you can raise skeletons at probably about level 6. I never really played a cleric much back in my D&D days, but I figure simple skeletons, absolutely. But if you really, really want to bring them back, reanimation, animate dead, reincarnation, those are much higher level spells. You have to be easily 16th, 18th level by that point.
Well, I think it's best to have Brandon Cutler talk to you about that.
Now that we've destroyed our audience, let's go ahead and get back to the show, where the next segment was Hangman Adam Page being interviewed, and Don Callis came out and apologized because he needed to make things up. We skipped the segment a little bit earlier where Don Callis was talking to Kenny, and he's like, I'm going to go make it up. And then this segment, he came out and he started to talk to Hangman and he started to apologize.
And then the BCC jumps him.
Absolutely murks poor Don Callis.
Now, something that I don't know if you guys had seen, but Don Callis tried to shake Moxley's hand, so it makes me think, was this just a ploy by Don Callis? Did Don Callis tell him, like, hey, you know what? To throw suspicion off me, jump me.
Right.
Don't
come on.
make this seem...
That's what a lot of people think. A lot of people think that.
Don's just a nice guy.
At the same time, too, he took a nasty bump when he actually bumped his head and he splits himself open. So now Don Callis is in the hospital. Don, hope you get better, even though, a lot of people are like, oh, Don Callis is annoying. That's his gimmick. The guy is getting people to hate him no matter what the hell he does.
He took an actual hard way hit on a piece of lighting and cut himself open, and then took the time to spread the blood all over his forehead because he knew how bad it would look on camera and got the cameraman to get him on camera.
So you think it was hard way busted open?
Yeah.
That's what the reports are saying, is that Don Callis actually fell and he busted his skull open.
I mean, were there opportunity for him to absolutely carve into his forehead with a blade? Yes. Ample time.
Especially when the camera wasn't facing him and he had his head to the ground.
There was ample time. But
Don Callis bladed.
Either way,
I'm going back
Don
to it right now.
Callis has a 170 IQ. And
he does.
He's just fooling the smarks.
He is.
He totally bladed. One thing I thought was interesting was the first thing Mox did when after Callis extended his hand was he swiped his glasses off.
He did.
Because Mox won't hit a man with glasses off. So he swiped those glasses off and then nailed him in the head with a forearm shot.
And I'm seeing this right now because I'm on their Twitter and I'm looking at it. And you can actually see Don does fall into something. You can see him. He falls down. So I think he literally did bust his head open because the table actually breaks too. If you look at it, the table that he got knocked into broke as soon as he goes down. So I think that's what the heck he landed in. Yeah, that table broke. Is
it possible that it was gimmicked? Yes, that's the great thing about wrestling. That Don Callis is one of those characters that can walk the line of kayfabe.
Okay.
And you're not sure.
There wasn't a table. But either way, he still did bump his head.
Even if he bladed, he is the type of person that will be able to sell it and believe both sides.
Exactly.
And I love it. Don Callis is the invisible hand. Anyways. So he gets attacked. They get attacked. Hangman gets hurt. Poor Kenny Omega. He has to know before the match that his buddy Don Callis has gone to the hospital. Now, it was obviously set up for that to happen no matter what. Yeah. But Shivani didn't go into the fact that he was cut open or went to the hospital. He just said that he got attacked. So, this, that, and the other thing. Did it distract Kenny Omega mentally? No idea. Didn't look like it because physically was the name of the match. And the very next match came right up against. The segments flowed together perfectly, by the way. I thought they did the pacing real well. Kenny Omega versus Jeff Cobb. And a lot of people forgot that Jeff Cobb worked at AEW a few times, didn't sign a contract, and went over to New Japan. And this was for the IGWP.
New Japan, yeah.
This is the IGWP US Championship under New Japan rules. So they had the 20-second count out. They talked about that in picture. Of course, American audiences don't care.
Yeah. Kenny Omega came out to his theme song from New Japan.
He did.
So that was great to hear. I was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, they're gonna go New Japan. And I was watching the match too, and I was telling my brother. My brother actually sat upstairs and he watched it, and he's like, yeah, they're having a New Japan match too. That's what my dad said as well. All three of us like, yeah, New Japan match, and it was great.
It was absolutely.
Yeah, it had
got
to be
showcase himself. Kenny got to be a New Japan self.
Yeah, it had to be a New Japan match because he was defending the New Japan title.
I think,
which is the U.S. title.
For me, which, by the way, it was a phenomenal match. Jeff Cobb showcased himself. There were quite a few times where he was imitating Kenny, not only when he did the point, but like when he ran, he did the Omega leg up for pause and then run. He did that a few times. He was mocking Kenny throughout the match. I think it was great psychology. I think they sold everything well. At the end, when it built up, he hit him with the V trigger. He hit him with the, well, he eventually got him there. But what I loved was he marched him around. And the crowd popped hard for him carrying him around on his shoulders. And then
that's a big dude.
He is. And then hitting the one-winged angel. And I think that was the epitome of a New Japan finish. Because you normally don't see that in U.S. matches. Not the march around with the shoulder. No, that was a New Japan move. What do you think, Jay?
I'm not sure about the marching around. I just want to point out that people who are complaining that this has no story and who is Jeff Cobb, well, this was a New Japan match.
Google, you idiots. Please, for the love of God, use Google. You can sit up there and use Google to decipher what Bray Wyatt's going to do next. You can use Google for the dumbest damn things possible. Use Google, for the love of God, please. It's there. Just use it.
Right.
That's hard.
So Kenny won the U.S. title from Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, which was the best match I've probably seen, best singles match since 2018.
And remember, the reports are saying that apparently those two held back. Bullshit. Those guys went hard.
And so, where was I?
You were talking about Jeff Cobb.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking about the story. So Kenny fought Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, and the day after, Kenny teamed up with Okada against Jeff Cobb and Aaron Henare, both members of United Empire, and that's really what set up the title match.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeff Cobb was essentially the number one contender for the U.S. title at that point, and as soon as Jeff Cobb was coming over to the U.S., whenever that was going to be, he was going to get his match against Kenny. So that was like agreed upon. That was part of the deal with Kenny going over and winning this title in New Japan, was that, you know, Jeff Cobb would get more exposure in the U.S. by getting a title shot against Kenny Omega on TV, which, you know, he would lose. So
he did not lose. He didn't win that match. He did not lose. That was a fantastic showcase of Jeff Cobb.
I was honestly expecting, because we were talking about throughout the day. We're like, oh yeah, he's gonna win. Jeff Cobb's gonna win. Jeff Cobb's gonna win, and then it doesn't happen. We're like, okay, damn, that was unexpected. So who does he face off with that Forbidden Door?
I never thought Cobb was gonna win. I didn't. It's too early.
I thought there was a possibility with shenanigans that Jeff Cobb could win, because for the sole reason that it would get the title back in Japan. If New Japan wanted that title back over there, you know, Kenny could have been forced to drop it. So just like Moxley was forced to drop the GCW title.
But remember too, Kenny has been a big draw for New Japan for years, and we've seen that like a handful of times. Kenny came back. New Japan's like, okay, hey, it's him and Mercedes Moné are what sold out. Honestly, I will say this: along with all the New Japan talent, they sold out Wrestle Kingdom. and then Mercedes Moné alone sold out the next event like the next month later. So, all giving credit.
No, New Japan loves Kenny. There's no question.
Yeah.
I don't think Mercedes is as big a draw in Japan as people think. Over here, she's a draw, but in Japan, I don't think people are buying a ticket to go see Sasha Banks.
We'll see soon enough.
Especially when Okada's on the card. So.
Well, okay. If you put her on the same card as Okada, I mean, come on. How could you tell?
Right.
Well,
so,
Jay, by the way, you're gonna have like all the Sasha stands coming out and screaming at you and threatening to take.
You know what? You know what? Let them. Let them come at us in the comments. I dare them to come at us in the comments. As a matter of fact, if they wanted to, they could go to EliteMarkOrder.com. They could click on the join the Discord, and they could come in the Discord, and if they use the password of JJ for life, they could.
You are inviting trouble here, man, because those stands are vicious.
I dare them. I double dog dare them. I grew up on the internet flame wars of the 80s and 90s. I triple dog dare them. I grew up on E-Bombs World. Oh, no. No. You've no idea of the danger if these guys show up. I will destroy them.
Were you E-Bomb or YTMND?
I was both. Oh, man,
okay.
You're the man now, dog. I love that one.
Yeah. So, which one? I thought when E-Bomb tried to cross YTMND, E-Bomb got destroyed.
You know, the entire drama
YTMND,
between them really was just who was going to host the most memes.
Well, no, it wasn't, though. The difference was E-Bomb was just people posting, like, videos that were from Something Awful and from other places. And from 4chan, and YTMND was a content creator site. So the problem was,
guys,
and Krill, pay attention to these lessons.
This is internet history, man.
I think we have gone off topic again, guys.
All right, no, I think Krillian's right. I think he's right.
I gotta finish this thought. I'm gonna finish this thought.
Finish this thought. We're gonna get back on topic, man.
So YTMND, Paris Hilton had the Paris Hilton doesn't change facial expressions was the meme that someone created on YTMND, and it went viral. Mm-hmm. And then someone posted it on E-Bomb, and you had a large segment of E-Bomb users, unlike Scott, who wasn't active on both sites, that thought that E-Bomb was responsible for this Paris Hilton meme. And that is what started the flame war. And YTMND, in my opinion, destroyed E-Bomb's world. Right. Like it was a wasteland. Like it wasn't even close. And there was tons of great memes that were created on YTMND because of this. And E-Bomb, they couldn't do anything because Something Awful and 4chan weren't posting memes about this. So E-Bomb had nothing to show for it and got smoked. Anyhow, back to Kenny and Cobb. So after the match, after Kenny got his win,
BCC goes up.
The BBC, as Hangman referred to it.
He did.
So the BBC comes out and starts beating the shit out of Kenny, or was going to.
They were about to.
And all of a sudden we hear the familiar...
Yeah, music hits, and Daniel Bryan comes out.
Yep, so right of the Valkyrie.
He's not Daniel Bryan anymore, man. Get your facts straight.
So what's Bryan gonna do?
His name is Bryan Danielson. Damn it! He came out to the the Mikey Ruckus version of Flight of the Valkyries, and he came out of the heel side because he's always been a heel. I don't know why people think he did some sort of face turn. He was never a face. He was always a heel. And I've said that for months. But I did love the fact that he came out.
Okay. He was the face in the situation between him and MJF. What was that? Just a heel, like, being nice and kind?
It was a heel versus heel match.
He's the lesser of two evils in that situation.
No, he was the greater of two evils. He just didn't win that day.
Yeah, because MJF did his whole normal, I have to cheat because apparently for some reason I am a coward and I cannot actually, win without cheating. That heel shtick thing.
I hear he was possibly face-ish, but he always came out the heel entrance. So
do we have any details on MJF's black eyes? Like,
no.
Does anybody know?
I think it was the match, and I think it just lasted a long time because he got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah,
I think it might have had to do with his ex-fiance. I think she did it.
Oh my god!
Yeah, but the thing is, I think they broke up like prior to Revolution. So wait, she met back up with him to talk, and he did something stupid that pissed her off, and it got the fuck beat out of him.
Well, like maybe she went over to his house to get her vacuum cleaner or something, and he started talking shit, and she beat the hell out of him. I think that's a likely scenario.
Yeah, because he needed the vacuum cleaner to do cleaning because he's so domestic.
No, she went to get her vacuum cleaner from his place.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes much more sense, I guess.
What the
Yeah, Mike MJF isn't doing any vacuuming.
Yeah.
No.
Anyways, so Bryan Danielson, we all think, okay, hey, he's gonna help Kenny Omega. He acts like he's gonna help him. Omega falls for it, and then he gets the help beat out of him after chasing out the BCC.
Boo Psycho D!
Yeah, the Boo Psycho D! Oh my God, it's the Boo Psycho D!
But I got to tell you,
that name.
he was temporarily a face maybe against MJF. He was just a lesser heel, I think, is what happened, because he came out into full heel. They beat the fuck out of him. Danielson had him, not only did he hit him with the Busaiku knee, did he put him into the label lock, then he hooked his nose and did the flex. And Kenny was just decimated. They got the largest boos, the loudest crowd reaction, and cemented themselves as the top heel act, which I like. I want to. This is the BCC I expected when they first formed. So
Jay, you got it wrong. It's the BBC, okay?
You can call it the BBC, BBC
Yeah,
One,
we're
BBC
gonna
Two,
call it
BBC Three,
because
BBC
AEW apparently
Four.
hasn't noticed.
That's the British
Right.
Broadcasting Company. That's a song from Austin
Cosmic,
Powers.
do you know the reason why he doesn't realize why he got that name wrong? Is because he's too busy being an anxious millennial cowboy, okay? He forgot.
I'm making Gen X jokes over here.
Of
Respect the dad jokes. I'm an
Hi,
official
Dad.
grandfather over here.
Are we really that far along?
I guess.
Yes.
Sure.
Apparently.
Why not?
All right. So, anyway.
I meant Gen X.
Now, something
yes.
tells me that we might actually see Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega for the IWGP United States title either at Forbidden Door or at Double or Nothing, which, either way, that's still going to be a fantastic match.
It wouldn't make sense to do it at Forbidden Door because they're both AEW. It would make sense to do it in Japan, potentially. Maybe some big event that they're having over there. Because,
that would be fantastic.
Because we all know Bryan Danielson wants to work in Japan. That's one of the reasons he came to AEW. Because he wanted to work in Japan.
Another reason is Vince McMahon's an idiot and told him, all right, Bryan, you'll find out what they do better than us. They do wrestling better than us, Vince.
The point is he came to AEW knowing he could work Japan, and how closely NJPW is working with them now. I see him potentially winning the title, absolutely. Maybe not in Japan. Maybe he wins it on Dynamite, and then he goes to Japan and does a tour there as champion. I think that's very likely scenario.
I think before Bryan is going to be allowed to have a title shot, he has to compete in New Japan and win something. So I don't see him just getting a title shot without competing in the promotion.
Oh well, I don't know what limitations or agreements they may have. So who knows?
I can't think of it. Well, I mean, besides Sasha, I can't think of a champion over there that wasn't affiliated with the promotion in some way. So.
There may very well be a Bryan Danielson Omega match coming up, and I'm very much excited about another match between those guys because they are the absolute two best wrestlers in that promotion. I don't care who else you put up against them. They are the top two, and they're the top two draws. They really are.
I think that was the highlight of the show. Was Bryan coming out and attacking Kenny, and I think this opens up. I want to say unlimited possibilities. So you have 3 dream matches right in front of us, right here. That were right there. Kenny versus Bryan dream match. Kenny versus Mox dream match, even though it's happened a couple times. And we have
Kenny Claudio. Yeah.
Claudio, Kenny, I can't even imagine what that match would look like.
I
almost kind of that's the most intriguing match to me of the 3 because I have not seen.
Because Claudio's been in WWE for so long.
Well, Kenny hasn't fought Claudio.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe he did once.
Maybe before his WWE, but he was in there for like 15 years.
So let's see. I will look that up here in a second.
So your point is that there's some great matchups that are coming up in solo matches for Kenny versus BCC members.
Yeah,
I agree.
In 2008 and 2009, Kenny Omega
Yeah.
and Claudio Castagnoli wrestled in ROH.
There it is.
Yeah, they had a bunch of matches. So they've been in 5 matches together, but it was, 14 years ago. So
There you go.
Both of them are different wrestlers now. So
Yep.
and I want to jump back because not only do we have those 3 dream matches with Kenny, we have dream matches with factions here. We
True.
have the Elite versus BCC. Unfortunately, the Bucks, Matt Jackson tore his bicep, partial tear. He's electing not to have surgery, so I don't know how he's going to be out, but it's going to be a while. But that match, like a blood and guts match at 4 versus 4 or 5 versus 5 with the Elite and the BCC, and then you have the possibility of people joining the Elite, like Takeshita.
Yeah.
Don Callis has been trying to get Takeshita in, so you could have the Bucks, Kenny, and Takeshita, and Hangman, who's been being teased to come back, and then the wild card here that could even the odds is Ibushi.
You never know.
Just fought on Bloodsport tonight. You bring Ibushi in, you put the Golden Lovers back together, that
Right.
changes things seriously.
Now imagine this, and I know this is a crazy one, but again, with the whole Don Callis thing, Don Callis extending his hand to Jon Moxley. Why would he do that? They attacked his friend. They attacked the Young Bucks weeks ago.
Well,
Why the hell would he extend his
there's an
hand?
easy answer, and that is he's a weasel and he wants to present. He's obsequious, which means he will bow and scrape to anybody if it's going to prevent him from being hit.
I was going to say he was obsequious too. So
You were going to use that word? Amazing. Your expansive vocabulary
Well, like I said,
stuns
would
me
be
daily.
interesting, and I'm hoping to God, I am saying this now, I'm hoping to God that we do not see Jay White go over to WWE because, dude, you are going to be destroyed. And, speaking of black eyes, Chris Jericho's got one too. I'm looking on his Facebook right now. Well, actually, this is from the 20th, and he has a black eye. Good
So
grief.
after the
Jay White?
Omega Danielson confrontation and beatdown, we moved into the video package of the Ass Boys talking about the FTR title match.
Oh, no, the ass
One
was
more
alright.
thing. One more thing before we go there. Krillin, what did you say about
I'm
Jay
hoping
White?
to God that Jay White does not go to WWE because I want to see him in AEW. I want to see him side maybe the Elite, maybe he's going to join the Elite, and then he joins the BCC instead, or he just takes Don Callis with them and he goes on a solo run.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him in WWE because, dude, Jay White, if you're listening to this, you are going to be buried. You're going to have to be facing off with Roman Reigns in the future. You're going to have to be dealing with Austin Theory, Matt Riddle, the annoying. You have all these annoying dudes that just are not good wrestlers, in my opinion.
They'll put him in a
please go to
program with
AEW.
Jinder Mahal for 6 months.
Yeah, he gets to sit up there and wrestle Jinder Mahal on Superstars for 6 months. Every single week. But anyways, on to the Ass Boys. Our favorite subject here at the Elite Mark Order, the Ass Boys.
We do get to talk about the Ass Boys weekly, and that is my favorite part of them being champions. The fact is, this was once again one of the lowest rated segments, so thanks a lot, Ass Boys.
Because they really are not draws. I don't even know why. I mean, yeah, I get it. Tony Khan wants to, have a reason to put the titles on the FTR, but anybody else but the Ass Boys, seriously, I get they were in a program, but it was just so fucking stupid because they're not good wrestlers.
Here's the thing.
Honestly,
they're
like Cody Rhodes.
They're young. They got their title win. They got to re-sign. They'll be around as jobbers for a long, long time, and they know it.
Yeah, and they're going
And
to
that's
be content
fine.
with that.
And that's fine.
Unless
got their
try to pull
title
Cody
win.
Rhodes and go, well, I want to go to WWE to be somebody. Yeah, then they'll be like a revamped New Age Outlaw.
You got to remember that Cody worked in WWE for many years. He was already, it's not conditioned, but he knew what it was like working there. And one of the primary reasons that he went back was so that he wasn't an EVP anymore. Because he didn't like that responsibility. He wanted to be just a wrestler. He couldn't do that in AEW.
Well, he also didn't have to accept the EVP position.
Not the point. He tried it, didn't like it, wanted out. That's the story.
Yeah. Okay, I believe that. Honestly,
He's too young for it.
Discrediting you.
He's too young to be an executive behind the scenes and not actually wrestle. So, whatever. He couldn't handle it. He moved on. The fact is, we have the Ass Boys, and they don't deserve it, and they'll be jobbers, and maybe they'll grow on us in 3-4 years.
I doubt it. I honestly doubt it. They're the latest legacy kids that just are not interesting at all, that nobody really gives a shit about.
It's true.
Ass Boys, you'll hear this, but it's the truth. You guys got to face it. You guys are the latest legacy kids that nobody really cares about.
The only reason they got over was because of Danhausen and Billy Gunn.
Exactly.
So, the next segment, one of my favorite wrestlers, the guy who is on one of the most amazing streaks, Orange Cassidy versus The Butcher. Now, I happen to be a really big fan of The Butcher. They started off, The Butcher and the Blade and the Bunny start off a cold, wet fart. They got the worst response. Nobody knew who they were. They literally got the who response from the audience. But they have put in the work. Butcher especially went from chubby to a big, strong man. He's always had a presence because he was a rock star. His band has disbanded, so now he can focus exclusively on wrestling. He dropped a bunch of weight, put on some muscle, really has started to develop his character and style. And I thought there were a couple of times he might actually win. And that's a credit to not only Orange Cassidy, but to how much over the Butcher has become. Now, I'm glad things turned out the way they did, but Jay, haven't heard from you in a bit. What did you think about this match? Orange Cassidy, he won.
I didn't think there was much of a chance Butcher was going to win going in. Last week we heard that Jeff Jarrett was actually supposed to win the title. Tony wanted Jarrett to win.
Did hear that.
That would have that would have been some nuclear heat for Jarrett. Jarrett said no. So did the Butcher do the same thing? Tony wanted the Butcher to win. The Butcher said no. I'm going to guess no.
Probably not. I don't think the Butcher's quite the same level.
It was a decent match, pretty clear cut with Orange Cassidy getting the win. There were some good bumps in the match. Your typical Orange Cassidy match. Mm-hmm. I prefer Butcher and Blade as a tag team. Those guys just haven't had any big singles wins, so you got to build these guys up if you want them to be a threat. I mean, and they
do have to get wins outside of Dark.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
They can't just.
You got to win a match on the show. Yep.
They can't always be on Dark. Well, we get to watch the Ass Boys.
But anyway, so we move on. The OC match I thought was good. I like Butcher again. He had a couple of really good moves that he's starting to work into his wrestling repertoire. Blade was thrown out early, and then he came back. Then you had the Best Friends come down. They did a little move where they used the crowbar that Blade used on Butcher, and the ref didn't see it, and that was the end of the match. And then the Orange Punch. I thought it was well done. Orange didn't need the help to put away Butcher, but he used it, and that's fine. All they did was turn the tables on him. Once again, Orange Cassidy continues to put on really entertaining matches. He's really become a linchpin of that championship. But he's at the point now that people are thinking he should lose. Who should he lose to? Who should be the next international champion?
So, I don't know who he should lose to. That's the bigger question is, who can Orange Cassidy lose to? Because everybody's been on a fantastic roll. He's had defenses against everybody at this point, but who does he lose to? That's like kind of the same thing with who's Hobbs going to lose the TNT title to?
See, back in the day when there was kind of a structure to WWE, you could see people who would move from European, they would get the championship, they would lose the championship, and then they would start with maybe a U.S. or international or intercontinental title match. And then they would work in that division for a while, and then eventually they would work up, they would win the IC title or the U.S. title, and they'd hold that for a while, then they'd lose that, and then they'd move up into the title picture, the heavyweight title. And that used to be really solid. You could watch people's evolutions. Now, if that were true in AEW, I think the international champion might be the lowest, the TNT champion would be the next, and then the heavyweight champion. So if OC is ready to move up and face maybe Hobbs for that level of title, who's ready to step up and take a title at the bottom of the card?
Right.
Is the
I'm
question.
I'm going to say Brock Anderson should be the guy to do it.
No, oh God, no.
He
no,
has
no.
unlimited charisma. He's unparalleled in the ring, and I think Brock is going to beat Orange Cassidy.
Honestly,
No.
I think the person who needs it the most, even though he's not ready for any sort of ring action, would be Satnam. Satellites unite, man. I think the big hand band is ready to take over.
Okay, all right. Let me just say this. Maybe, and I know it's too soon because I know he's been in AEW for like a cup of coffee. Action Andretti. Maybe Action Andretti takes the title off him.
I mean, okay, so you get somebody who's like really, really breaking in. Maybe somebody like Swerve.
Yeah, I was just going to say Swerve.
Were you?
Do it.
Yeah.
Swerve's another one that deserves something because he's legit great.
Maybe Keith Lee.
If he goes heel.
I mean, if he went heel, sure. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't see him going heel.
It's interesting that there's a number of people, and then you look at Hobbs, he just won it. We forgot his segment where I preferred him being Hobbs, speaking to the camera, being Hobbs. Fuck QT. Who, by the way, he also stopped wearing the bowling shirts. Totally changed his character. That was it.
Right.
And now he laughs. He laughs a lot. That's his new thing. He laughs.
What is QT doing anymore?
He's doing QTV. He's doing TMZ. I don't like it. I don't care. And I want Hobbs to just be Hobbs on camera. I love that promo. So, anyways, my point is, we skipped it because none of us really care about QT. But I think Hobbs himself, just talking to the camera, I think that's a great character. And
right.
by the same token, we also had
You lost your train of thought there.
I did. Train of thought derailed. Innocent joke killed. Film at 11. That's a Gen X joke, by the way.
I think Roosh is another guy that has been built up a little bit that could believably beat Orange Cassidy. And
I think he's more ROH though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He is a lot in ROH. But I mean, Joe is in ROH too, and he won the TNT title. So maybe Roosh would do it. I would say Roosh or Swerve would be the best candidates. Lee would have to go heel, and Lee going heel just doesn't seem to make sense because he resisted it for like months. So why would he suddenly? So yeah, I guess those two would be my picks. Or they got to start building someone else up. Like I guess Tony just got Bandito's visa issues resolved. Like that would be awesome if Bandito came in and took that title.
I think somebody international.
Incredible.
Somebody international, like maybe one of the Mexican stars, one of the Japanese stars, maybe Takeshita. I think Takeshita is international champion, bringing that to Japan and having some matches. That would intrigue me also. He and Danielson can go and have a tour of Japan and represent AEW.
Maybe Muto could come out of retirement and beat Orange for the title.
Yeah, the Great Muto comes out of nowhere and just miss people in the face and then takes the title back to Japan.
So you're saying Mr. Fuji is going to raise from the dead? Anyways,
it could happen.
Yeah,
it could happen.
We got a necromancer here apparently.
I'm not quite at the resurrection level. I am more at the raise skeletons and zombies level.
He's also trying to get to the level where he makes Jeff Jarrett immortal, so he, JJ for life for real.
I'm working on it.
Ruby versus Willow.
No, we missed a little bit. Jade Cargill and her entourage talked more about the court order with Taya Valkyrie. I'm expecting Taya to be the one to beat Jade. I know we're waiting on Chris. I'm sorry. We've got to move on. We've got to move on.
Yeah. I mean, Jade Cargill, don't get me wrong, she's a great rising talent, but where does she go from here? Like, she has had no real big feuds. She's had, like, small little mini feuds where, she does her shtick. Everyone else gets, like, they humiliate her, they do something crazy, and then at the pay-per-view, it's, like, a moderately decent match, and then she wins.
She's stalled. And they were, again, it's something that Tony has done a few times, where injuries like Thunder Rosa, he'll put things on hold, interim championship, that kind of stuff. and then he just won't move forward. I think they just need to, and I think they are. I really hope so. I think they're just going to move it on to Taya Valkyrie, let her be the new TBS champion, let Jade move up to the heavyweight division. Let her start going after some of those titles. Maybe start representing AEW versus the Outcasts. I don't know. What I do know is she needs to move on. This is stale, and I hope her match with Taya Valkyrie is better than the build.
Right.
After that,
Yeah, because...
Juice Robinson, the only member of Bullet Club in AEW, because he will remind you of it, is going to beat up Action Andretti. I think that'll be a good match. I just don't know. They're trying to build Juice up a little bit, and I think I hope it's because they're going to have Jay White come in. He's going to be a legitimate partner, and they're going to do some Bullet Club stuff, especially with Forbidden Door, maybe Bullet Club versus Bullet Club stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
It would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, he could form his own little version of Bullet Club in AEW, and then he's like, well, I'm going to go out to David Finlay, because David, you attacked me from behind, you've taken Bullet Club from me, now I'm going to destroy you. That'd be interesting, but something tells me this is WWE Inkling, and also, idiots like Louis Danjor, however the hell you pronounce the name, I don't give a shit, going, well, I hear that Jay White is definitely going to WWE. I'm like, please, Jay, don't do it, dude.
Nothing is definite until it happens.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of us who want Jay White in AEW. There's a lot of people who want him in WWE. He is a hot commodity.
Yeah.
And kudos to him for getting top dollar wherever he goes. I hope wherever he goes he's used properly. I think AEW would recognize him because they already did previously.
Right.
So
they've had him on TV many times.
They've had him on TV already. They've already showcased him a little bit. I think it's a logical move for him. We'll see. But that said, we are moving into the very tail end of the show where we get the one women's match, which was, Jay, you were excited to talk about it, Willow Nightingale versus Ruby Soho, the outsider, the outcast.
Yeah. On our AEW Discord channel, the AEW Games Discord specifically, we have a little contest where you predict the matches on Dynamite, since they're all announced in advance. And it was easy for everyone to get all the matches right last week, and this week was the same thing. But I'm like, come on. I was like, Tony can't book 2 weeks of completely predictable matches, calling 12 matches and easily picking the winner for all of them. Come on. So I was like, okay, if there's one match that's going to go the other way this week, it's going to be Willow. Willow needs to win to get stronger. And, the Outcast taking an L would, I think, help move this feud along. It would help keep things fresh, because now the tables are evening up a little bit. And that's not what happened. So I got the pick wrong. And, Soho got the win. And then really nothing happened. It was just a situation where Willow was outnumbered. And then when they started beating her up after the match, Riho and Jamie Hayter ended up running out.
No, so what happened was, after the match, yes, they were beating her up, and out came Riho and Sky Blue, just like last week, only Riho didn't have the pipe.
Right.
So the heels just beat those two girls up.
Sky Blue?
Hush. So, yes.
Sorry,
because she didn't have the pipe, the Outcasts were able to just beat those two down, and then Jamie Hayter got to make the save as the champion. Now, the Wrestle Talk guys brought this up, and I thought that this made a lot of sense. Maybe if Willow had Riho and Sky Blue in her corner at the beginning of the match, and then you had Jamie come out for the win after the post-match beatdown, because maybe the villains use a pipe. I don't know. But either way, then Jamie coming down to make the save makes sense. There were 2 saves post-match.
Yeah, I don't know what it is with wrestling companies, and the heels are allowed to have like about 5,000 different people sitting at ringside. The face can have nobody, or they have like one person. Like, what the fucking hell is that dumb shit?
Well, the Bucks have, Cutler the Great, so fortunately,
but back
he's
then,
got their back covered.
Yeah, but my whole point is, it's just dumb. So wait, she comes out with nobody. Willow Nightingale has like a whole bunch of allies, and she walks out with nobody. They come running out to help her, and then they all get the help beat out of them too. and then Jamie Hayter comes out and she's able to beat down everybody.
Yep. Because she's the champ.
Makes no sense.
She's the champion. She's more powerful than 3 women combined.
Yeah.
She's got the strength of 3 women. Like 3 big women. Like Layla Hirsch type strength. I miss her. I miss her.
Same. But I know she's injured right now, too.
She's been injured for a while, but she's a powerhouse. I think she would fit anything like the Blackpool Combat Club. I think as a female representative, she would be fantastic.
Because she's got that, legitimate wrestling background, so that fits with her.
They call her legit for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but she's a badass, so she would fit.
That's what I'm saying. I think she could, as a shooter, as they call it, because she can do the shoot moves. She could easily fit in the BCC. I think they do need some female representation in that group. And I think maybe Yuta coming out for her matches would really solidify her position. That kind of stuff. I'd love to see Blackpool recruit somebody. And I don't know anybody in the women's division better than Layla.
I agree with you. Jay, what do you think?
One sec.
Okay, so
I'm
he's
drawing
distracted.
I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Layla Hirsch?
Describe her.
No. Marina Shafir.
Okay, Marina Shafir.
No.
No.
I hear you.
Hear me out. So John Moxley was on Renee's Oral Sessions show.
Whatever it's called now.
He was going on and on about how he loves Shafir and how he thinks she's awesome and how he thinks when she fights in Bloodsport, where she fought Killer Kelly tonight in Bloodsport, he thinks that she has a ton of potential. And I think Marina Shafir, I'm not a big fan of Layla Hirsch, and I hate to, put a ceiling on someone because of their size, but she's got to be like 4'10".
She's not tall. She's not
really,
tall.
really short.
She's
and
not
it's like
tall, but neither...
Riho isn't, but Riho's probably taller than her, and Riho can move though. Like Riho has great technical ability that, from a wrestling standpoint, that Layla doesn't, that Hirsch doesn't.
Yeah.
But I think Marina Shafir would be like perfect in the Blackpool Combat Club if they're going to put a female in there, especially after the way like Moxley was like building her up. So I think there's definitely going to be more to come with her, and with her having Moxley's support, I think we're going to see more from her. She just needs to get out of. She just needs her whole gimmick redone. I mean, the people she's been tagging with, she was coming out to classical music. Like, what the hell is that? Like,
so they've updated her music. Thank God they updated her music.
Thank God.
Her working with Nyla, I don't think is a bad thing. I think they're a good team together. I think she is learning a lot from Nyla, and Vicky's gone. So I think maybe, yeah, I agree. Thank God. I think maybe if they turn Marina against Nyla, they might have some good matches together.
Maybe.
She's still green. She does need some work. I've watched her matches on Dark and Elevation, and she's doing well. Still clunky in spaces. I think Sky Blue's actually moved faster than Marina, and that's not a diss on anybody. It's just some people pick up things faster than others.
Right.
She's addressing, much like Ronda Rousey, she's trying to learn how not to kill her opponents. And that's something that's hard to do when you've trained your whole life to go 100%, to not. It's a difficult transition. So props to her for trying and working at it. And I think Nyla is a good partner.
Let me interject here at the whole Nyla Rose thing, and I hate to say this because Nyla Rose, fantastic wrestler, fantastic person, funny as all hell. But
love her Twitter. Love her Twitter.
Yeah, her Twitter is fantastic. She just tweets out like the fucking randomest shit possible. And then her stories that her wife would tell is like, what in the hell is Nyla Rose doing all the damn time with all the crazy shit? Aside from that's just her personality. But Nyla Rose, we all thought that her match with Jade Cargill would be great. And I had 2 friends over that are not wrestling fans. They have never really watched wrestling a damn day in their life aside from this pay-per-view. They came over and they were watching it like, okay, this match fucking sucks. It's sad, too, because they both insulted the 2 women's matches that were on the card for Full Gear. They're like, well,
What was the other one?
They Saraya versus Britt Baker. They literally said, "Oh yeah, she only got the win because she just came back." They were talking about Saraya. I'm like, damn.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, that wasn't a good card for
women.
for the women's.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Well, I mean, the only match it was good on there was Hayter versus Tony
Storm?
Storm. That was the only good
Yeah,
one.
that match was
on there.
awesome.
Those
Did
two
they say
work
anything about that?
really well together.
Yeah, and they have the British strong style, so that's what fits in. They're
That match was
they're
fucking
just
awesome.
striking the
That
hell out
was-
of each other.
They also
that
have
was one of my
actual
favorite female matches in AEW.
Yeah, they have actual chemistry, and so they were able to trust each other. They had a fantastic match. There's no question,
Yeah.
and I'd love to see more of them. So that's why
And we are going to be seeing it.
the Outcasts versus the AEW women who need a name, who right now is Riho with a pipe. I think that sort of confrontation that may be very well a blood and guts match.
All right, now let me ask you this: who comes in to join with the Outcasts? Because it's 3-on-5. They have
Wendy
the number.
Richter.
Wendy Richter, yeah. Or they bring in Nia Jax to botch along and just kill everybody. They bring in Nia Jax, they bring in the Bella Twins, and it's going to be just a botch fest on everybody's behalf. The only two that'll be carrying that team on the other side, if they bring in those three, are going to be Tony Storm and Ruby Soho. If they bring in those three. If they bring in the Bella Twins, the Garcia Twins, let me correct myself, to be on their side, or they bring in Nia Jax to team up with them, they're going to have to carry, those two are going to have to carry the whole damn team, because Saraya is still just, no.
If they bring in more, I mean, the whole thing is that they're outcasts. They don't have to necessarily be outcasts of WWE. If they bring in more ex-WWE women, not only is it going to be they only hire ex-WWE people, but it'll also be almost a direct ripoff of the NWO.
Right.
And it's already DX plus NWO at this point. So I think maybe if they were going to recruit for the outsiders, they get somebody who maybe is young, they recruited her because they saw her potential, but she hasn't been accepted by the crowd, something of that nature. Since they've already got Sky Blue on one side, maybe they bring in Jay's girlfriend, Billy Starks.
Billy Starks
as an outsider.
I was gonna say, don't call her his girlfriend, because wait, how old is she right now?
She just turned 18.
She's
Okay,
18.
okay.
No, you're right. It's your girlfriend, Krill.
Let's just
it's
say
your
she's
girlfriend,
not
Krill.
Gen X. She's not Gen X. So
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. She's not Gen X. I'll give that to you. She's Krill's girlfriend.
Yeah.
So what do you think about your girlfriend joining I keep trying to call them the outsiders, the outcasts?
The Outcasts. Okay. Well,
that would make no sense.
And I will say this, if I'm being honest, I have not seen Billy Starks, so I've seen like a little bit of it, but I think she'd be a good fit. I mean, she's still young.
It wouldn't, because she hasn't been in WWE.
No, the whole point is that they're not from WWE for the next choice. So they recruit from someone other than WWE. That's my
So you're talking about to go against the Outcast, not be in the Outcast.
To be in the Outcast from somewhere other than WWE. You could come maybe from Impact.
Well, why would you do that? The whole point of the Outcast, I thought, was because they're all outcasts from WWE.
Yeah, I mean, Jay's right.
I'm
Also,
just
sorry
trying
if my
to
mic
get
got
away
messed
from
up.
that.
I accidentally knocked out my. I actually pulled out my cord, so.
I was just trying to get away from that whole thing. That's all.
Yeah, I understand. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get off. I'll let you guys cover Adam Cole versus Ricky Starks. Oh, Garcia.
Nice try, though.
My mind is like very frazzled right now.
Thanks for joining us, girl.
Yeah, no problem. I will see you guys next week.
All right, man. See ya.
See ya.
So we really do have one match, and it really wasn't a surprise. Adam Cole had his television show coming up immediately following. This should not have been the main event. Kenny Omega should have been the main event.
I agree.
But
Tony is pushing Adam Cole as hard as he can right now.
He is, and he's got a new TV show that failed to draw. So we'll see.
Well, The show did very well. The sneak preview drew over 700,000 people.
Sneak preview did great because of the lead-in.
Right. But didn't it sustain?
It was a terrible draw after Dynamite.
Really? Was it because I think most people that wanted to see it saw it already?
I don't know what it was.
I haven't seen the ratings for the show. I haven't seen the ratings for the show.
Okay.
But...
So last week it was Young Sheldon, and they drew. It was 300-something thousand. So call it like 379, and then All Access drew like 319. So
after
Dynamite, yeah.
But after the basketball game, I thought 700,000 people watched it.
They sure did.
That's a crazy number. Most people had already seen it, and that's why it went down. Because people had already seen it.
I hadn't.
Let's see how it does next week.
That's the thing.
I think that'll be.
The Dynamite lead-in was super weak compared to the audience for basketball. This was not a good week for ratings. People were not watching.
One of the things I read was ratings were down across the board last night, so people just weren't watching TV many as normally would for whatever reason. There wasn't anything huge on TV either, like none of the Final Four games or any of that stuff was on. And the card was predictable.
And it was out of order. If Kenny had finished like he did last week, I think we would have seen much higher ratings at the end of the show. I think they booked it out of order because they tried to go for corporate synergy, and they wanted Adam Cole to have his little, streamer celebration. I just think that it was poorly booked. I think it was mishandled.
I think people love Adam Cole's entrance. And frankly,
they love saying Bebe. They love saying Adam Cole. He is over for just that.
And they mark out when he says, "Oh, it's story time with Adam Cole." For some reason, people like cheer and pop for that.
That's because he stole it. He stole it from CM Punk originally. The whole thing, sitting down in the ring, story time with Punk. That he got it from the pipe bomb. And since Punk was gone, he was Punk light. He really was. And part of his appeal was because the Punk wasn't around.
And of course, he has that relationship with Shawn Michaels, and he's Shawn's boy. And we saw that in the match. We saw the tribute to it when Garcia put him in the sharpshooter, which was a direct shot at his relationship with Shawn Michaels that I thought was pretty brilliant. But I think Adam Cole is overrated. I think his drawing ability is overrated, and I think trying to use Adam Roll as the top face in the company is, I don't know. I think what we saw with the ratings last night is a more accurate depiction of his drawing ability than he gets a good pop because people like singing along with his own entrance.
Yep.
So I think this push is going to be interesting. I think Adam Cole is being set up to be the next guy to challenge MJF after MJF retains against the Four Pillars at Double or Nothing. And it will be interesting to see how that goes.
He was off TV for 9 months. He's been on TV a little bit. He hasn't wrestled in forever. It's hard for me to say he's not drawing because nobody knows him anymore. So he didn't do much in the match. Yes, he won, etc. So I think there's still a rebuilding process. I don't think he's going to go after the title anytime soon. I really don't. I think they're billing him as one of the biggest faces. I think Kenny is the biggest face. He's not going to go after the title, though, because he's got the IWGP title. We know you can only hold one title when your name is Kenny Omega. But the point is, MJF's going to hold it for a little bit, I hope. And we anticipate. But Adam Cole, I know they're pushing him. I know he's popular. People, let's be honest, Tony loves Adam. Yep. And I think corporate-wise, Adam is a great match on the corporate level, much like Britt. I think they present to executives extraordinarily well. And I think that's why they're getting the push.
Yeah.
And that's fine, because Britt's a great wrestler. Adam Cole has great friends. And and apparently can perform in the ring. I've not actually watched a lot of Adam Cole because my time for NXT was right around the time that he showed up was when I left.
Right.
You know, I always heard big things about Adam Cole. I'm like, okay, is he any good? Is this Undisputed Era? Okay, well, maybe I'll see him one day. I heard the same thing about the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega because I was only watching WWE. It's like, are they any good? I don't know. Let's watch AEW to see if they're any good. And I was impressed. Kenny Omega's fantastic. The Young Bucks are amazing. I've never been let down by them. Adam Cole has not impressed me with what he has done in comparison to some of the best in the business. And that's not a knock, but maybe he's just not that good.
I don't think he's on Kenny Omega's level at all. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's remotely close. Adam Cole hasn't been given a chance. I mean, in NXT he did. He was a heavyweight champion in NXT. I did not watch a lot of that stuff. I know he had some really highly regarded matches. I think it was his match versus Gargano that people said was one of the greatest matches ever. I still have not watched that. Just because I'm not a big Adam Cole fan. He does, I was not a Shawn Michaels fan either, and he kind of works the same style as Michaels a little bit, and I don't know, it just like if
very
you straight
similar.
up compare.
I agree.
If you straight up compare Omega and Cole, it's a joke. It's just not.
They're not comparable.
It's not a good comparison.
As far as talent goes, as far as any of that goes, Omega destroys them. There's no question about that. But
I mean, Kenny's ability to tell stories in the ring and the realism behind some of his strikes and his suplexes and his finishers and his dives and just his moveset in general just dwarfs anything I've seen out of Cole. And it's just, I don't know. I want Cole to be successful, and I think he's a good guy. Everyone likes him and respects him. But let's not try and bill him as the top guy in the company, because I don't think he can carry the company.
Well, here's the big thing, and I've said it many times. Tony listens to the audience, and if you have a connection with the audience, he will give you opportunities. If you can make him boo you, if you can make him cheer you, if you can get him to cry, if you can get those emotions going, Tony respects that wrestler can develop into something big because he's got that connection developed. When people aren't doing well, like Cage, I always bring up he's not connecting with the audience. Once he started connecting with the audience better, we started to see him a little bit more on TV. So I respect the fact that Adam Cole has a huge response on his entrance. He has a huge response with his entire persona and just the way that the audience gets behind him. Does that translate to great matches? Not yet. But as long as his storytelling is good, his matches don't need to be phenomenal. We've seen that time and time again. Yeah, we're AEW fans. Yeah, we love a good work rate. Yeah, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega is going to be one of the best matches again in the company. Again. Probably another 7 stars, 8 in the Tokyo Dome. But some of those non-wrestling, storyline-driven matches are also just as interesting. And I think that's what Adam can bring. So that's pretty much it for the show. Go ahead and give us a like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. You have any last thoughts about the match, about the company, about anything?
Yeah,
really?
let's so for Rampage we got let's see, wait, that's the wrong week. We got Sammy Guevara versus Takeshita on Rampage, which is going to be awesome. I can't.
There should be some more Don Callis storyline too. Well, no, wait. He got taken to the hospital. He's probably not going to be in that.
Right.
Damn.
Let's see.
I really want
the
more
ROH.
Mm-hmm.
The ROH card for the pay-per-view, the Super Card of Honor, is ridiculous.
It is. It's stacked.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Shibata versus Yuta, Vikingo versus Commander.
That's the one that I think is going to blow the doors off that place.
Joe versus Mark Briscoe.
That'd be another good one.
and Claudio versus Eddie Kingston. Is Eddie Kingston going to win the ROH title from Claudio? I think he is.
Here's the thing.
But I'm not 100% on it.
A lot of us want Eddie to win. He deserves it. That's the title that he needs to win first and foremost before anything. And I think from Claudio is the way to go. So I agree. I think Eddie should win. But at the same time, you also have some of the other matches like Mark Briscoe versus Joe. I think everybody wants Briscoe to win. I think everybody wants him to hold that title and be a singles guy. Because he's already said he's not going to do two-on-two matches. That's just not going to happen anymore. And I think he's got the audience behind him. He's an ROH guy. Why not give him something like their TV title or US title or whatever it was? So I think maybe he wins versus Joe, which then means Claudio wins against Eddie, or they change both titles. Then you have the trios title. I don't know. I doubt that's going to change. And then you have the title that Yuta has, the Pure Championship.
Right. I don't see Shibata winning that. It's tough to see Shibata taking a loss to Yuta, but
with the heel BCC, there might be some interference from Claudio.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Anyways, so I think there's some great stuff coming up. I agree. ROH is fantastic. Rampage will be interesting enough, but next week, AEW Dynamite, as always, going to be another big announcement. Tony's always got something because either a new person signed or an announcement. Most people think that it's going to be their Saturday show and possibly a renewal of their contract announcement. So,
yeah, that's what I've seen. We also got WrestleMania. We got Cody going to dethrone Roman Reigns and prevent him from getting to 1,000 days.
Yep. It's going to be a big weekend.
Any thoughts on who's going to win? Is Cody going to go from getting booed on the mid card of AEW to dethroning the most dominant with interference champion WWE has had since Cena?
Okay. I 100% think that Cody's going to win.
Yeah.
If Triple H is still in control. I 100% think that Roman's going to win if Vince is still in control. I think this is the last WrestleMania that Triple H really gets unfettered with his, this is my booking, this is how I want it done. Vince is not going to let Roman lose yet. He's a proven commodity. Wait until after the sale. Now, if the sale has been finalized in private, then Cody wins. Because then Vince is no longer in control.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to call because I 100% think Cody's going to win. But Vince. That's my problem. Is I know Vince doesn't want Cody to win. There's no fucking way he wants Cody to win.
I don't know for sure about that. I think if anyone didn't want Cody to win, it would be Triple H because of the way Cody treated Triple H.
No.
In AEW, being the throne breaker and all that shit.
Cody did his mea culpas.
I think Triple H is vindictive. I think Stephanie is vindictive. And we've seen how they treated talent. We've seen how they treated their father, where Dusty Rhodes got banished from TV forever because he put his hand up to Stephanie's face. I mean, these are vindictive, shallow people, Triple H and Stephanie. So,
well, Stephanie's no longer in the company. But I agree, though.
Yeah. As soon as the sale goes through, she'll be back. So
once Vince is gone, she's back.
Yeah, and Triple H has had a creative, so she can certainly influence Triple H.
Can't argue that.
But there's just so many angles to come at it. I mean, I've never been a huge Cody fan, but I liked Cody a lot. I mean, I didn't think he was that great of a wrestler, but I loved what he brought to AEW, and he put it all out there in the ring. He just did some crazy shit, scarring his body for life. I mean, you think of the flaming table spot with Andrade.
He tried to get Andrade over hard.
Right. You think, he tried to get himself over, too, by doing that. But you think of his match against Jericho where he took that ridiculous bump and smashed his head on the ramp and has that gash that's still visible on his head 3 years later. You think of just the crazy shit he did, like the moves, the matches with Sammy Guevara. I mean, he put it all out there, and it didn't work. It didn't.
It did, but it didn't. Here's the thing.
Right.
Right before he actually left, when I thought he was doing the most subtle of heel turns, when he was being Homelander, when he was like, I am a hero, but everybody knew he was a villain. I thought he was getting that subtlety. I really did, because then he would do the Fuego stuff, Fuego 2. And everybody knew it was Cody. And everybody still cheered him, even though he was Homelander on the main show. And I thought there was this dichotomy. I thought he was just playing the most subtle of meta level mind games and character work. And then he just left and went to WWE instead. I'm like, okay, I guess I was wrong.
Yep.
And just, that was a big letdown for me. I mean, I like Cody in general. I loved Dashing Cody Rhodes. I thought that was amazing. The Stardust stuff was always fun. The mustache thing that he had with what was his name? Mizdow. Daniel Sandow. Just the Rhodes Scholars. He had so many different fun little things that he did throughout his career in WWE that I was genuinely hoping that he could step up. But then he did the stipulation where he couldn't go after the world title and then was upset that he was held to it. I don't know. So many little things. So Cody goes to WWE. Let him win the title. Good for him. Whatever. I don't care anymore, because the way, yes, he put his body on the line for AEW and he did everything he could to get AEW over, but then he left.
Right.
Okay, so thanks. That's what I got for you, is thanks.
I think he left because of Punk.
Maybe.
I think because Punk was getting creative control, Punk had other responsibilities. Punk thought he was running the company.
He did.
Hangman was trying to save the company from Punk.
Yeah.
And I think that was why Cody left. And he's not going to throw Punk under the bus. But I think that definitely had something to do with why he left.
I think in 20 years, the dark side of the ring will finally enlighten us as to
Hopefully
what exactly
that's not around.
happened.
But hopefully there'll be books out or some other show. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Dark Side of the Ring.
I understand.
I understand. People.
I know what you're saying. Anyways, so
if before we wrap up, if Cody wins,
mm-hmm.
are the WWE fans going to embrace Cody as a face?
They already love him as a face.
I know they love him now because he's been booked and slated to beat Roman.
Mm-hmm.
But once Cody wins and Roman goes on vacation for 6 months, A, who the fuck is Cody going to fight? And B, why is anyone going to care? I think he's going to get stale and start getting booed as the champ in WWE. And I think what might end up happening is Cody goes heel and Sammy gets a shot. And then Roman comes back and beats Sammy. That's just my thought.
It makes sense. I also don't know where they go after Cody. They've spent so much time building up Roman. If they do switch over to Cody, there's a lot. I mean, yes, he's going to be over because he beat the Giant. He conquered Goliath. But okay, that'll give you a couple of weeks of good cheers. But if you don't have something solid, if you have a Jericho nothing run, where you're the bitch to Stephanie and you got to clean up dog poop. I mean, you get booked like that as champion, you're done. So it's hard to know which way they're going to go. Petty Paul could do any number of things. I'm not going to say that he's not petty. He absolutely is. He could take Cody, give him the title, and then at the same time pull a Jericho. And they just totally book him into oblivion. And then he loses to Doink the Clown. There's any number of things that he could do, even after he gives him the title in the big build. But you have to remember, and Krillin's made this point a couple of times, he's still trying to sell AEW wrestlers on coming over, on jumping ship like FTR. So he may not completely humiliate Cody immediately. Might be a year or two.
Yep.
All right. That said, once again, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you're still listening, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Join us over on EliteBarkOrder.com. Join us in the Discord. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the show. Other than that, JJ for life.